Hi everyone, we're assembling this MANND2866 engine today. The engine is being removed due to a broken crankshaft. It was repaired 80,000 kilometers ago, but not by the current owner. The previous owner needed the engine to run a bit longer. Driving with a broken crankshaft misaligned and scratched up the block, making it unusable. We now have a different block and crankshaft. This engine arrived at my workshop in this state. They brought another block, which I've already washed and cleaned here. My task is to chase the threads, open and check the oil channels, remove, inspect, clean and blow out the oil nozzles. I'm currently preparing the engine block. After that I'll work on the cylinder heads. I haven't started on the heads yet. The heads need to be sent to the surface grinder. About 80,000 kilometers ago they were supposedly ground, but after cleaning one, an imprint from the gasket is already visible. It's not a huge sum, likely about 2,500 to resurface all 6 heads. Some parts have already been sent out for repair to a third-party company, including the fuel pump, injectors, and connecting rods for bushing replacement. I sent them out and now I'm installing them. Footage. First of all, I'm preparing everything that will be sent for repair to an outside organization. That's the connecting rods, the pump, and the injectors. So, another important point about the pump is that these bolts have already been replaced before. Yes, so this one is still the original German bolt, you can see that, and this one here has already been replaced at some point. There shouldn't be a regular bolt here, it should be a special hidden bolt that requires a unique key, so not just anyone can access and remove these bolts. So we can see that the bolt has been replaced. So this cover was opened and put back randomly, and if it was put back randomly, here under this bolt we have an oval hole, and this cover is positioned on the stand. A fixed mark on the pump ensures proper ignition setting. If moved, the ignition must be set by guesswork. So I wrote to check the mark, the arrow. I drew it. It's a must. Pay attention and take a closer look. I just washed and blew out the connecting rods, preparing them. As usual, we're replacing the bushings. I cleaned the injectors with a brush. The injectors also seem to have been repaired, but at the very least they need to be checked. The connecting rods are being repaired and the fuel pump details are already known. Basically, as I said, the timing mark is off, they'll set the mark. The plungers are mostly fine, but she'll adjust them due to a slight mismatch. We've ordered the parts, we'll have a new piston assembly and we'll have a new camshaft, and as usual there will be rings, bearings, seals and so on. So that's all. The block is fully prepared. I've checked all the threads, cleaned the oil channels, removed and washed the oil nozzles, and inspected everything. The block is ready for assembly. Next, I'll work on the head by removing the valve covers, taking off the rocker arm, and removing the valve keepers. I've removed the rocker arm from the first cylinder head. As shown, everything has been filed down. The bushings are worn out, resulting in significant play. So, I don't know, we'll have to do something about the rocker arms. I disassembled it and removed the keepers from the exhaust valve on the first cylinder. According to the customer, the heads were worked on around 80,000 kilometers ago. But if you look at the condition of the seat, I wouldn't say so. We can see the type of pitting, carbon deposits, and other details. I hope to take it apart, replace the valve stem seals, clean it, remove carbon deposits, and have it ready. I still need to lap the valves, restore the working bevel, and inspect the valve seats on the machine. So basically the full scope of work. As for the manifold, what was done here is that the studs were old. Someone had replaced them at some point. One of them had a coarse thread, and the third one had a fine thread. I could have left them in, but there was already significant corrosion, incomplete threads, and the nut was loose. Moving on. So, I tried to unscrew the studs to replace them, but they wouldn't move. I went to the welder, welded on some nuts, tried to unscrew them with the nuts, but still nothing worked. It was clear that I broke two studs and had to drill them out. After drilling, I cleaned up the threads, screwed in new studs, installed the gasket, and got the turbo ready for immediate installation without modifications. It was replaced literally, but not that long ago. In general, Alright, so let's continue. Today I was working on the crankshaft. Just now you saw some footage of the crankshaft preparation. Today the connecting rods arrived. As you can see, they're still packed. I haven't opened or checked them yet. Today the fuel equipment arrived and we set it up, adjusted the timing, and checked the sealed injectors. The cylinder heads were also made rapidly today, in just one day. So, I also already disassembled the compressor. This compressor came with the engine block. I decided to take it apart first to see what condition it's in, just to figure things out. So my task is to assemble one compressor out of two, but I don't think it's going to work. So we can see the bearings are in this condition, right? There's a lot of wear, there's even a scratch here. The crankshaft is in about the same condition. Here you can see the journal's condition. So we can also see that the thrust main journal of the crankshaft also has this kind of wear. There's around 0.2 mm or more of wear on the crankshaft, indicating it needs replacement. The bearing has this kind of play. You can probably see how it moves from here. Wobbles. So looking at the gear, we can see that there's a chipped tooth here, and we can also see the wear. You can visually see the ridge, and you can clearly see the scratches there. So it turns out we can't take the cylinders from here. We can't take the sleeves or pistons either, and we can't take the crankshaft. Almost everything needs replacement. The cylinder heads could be salvaged by disassembling, cleaning, and inspecting the valves. And the housing here seems to be in good condition. So I have a second compressor that was originally from this engine and installed on this car. So now I'm going to take it apart as well. We'll see what we can take from this one compressor. So I just took apart the first compressor. And I want to say that this bolt which holds the compressor drive gear, I unscrewed it with my own impact wrench, my new impact wrench. As people advised me in the comments, they said to increase the pressure, make it higher, not 6, but 8 or 9. I set it to 9 atmospheres, I removed the extension, and with the impact socket that comes in the set size 24, I easily unscrewed this bolt. So what can I say about this compressor? Wear and scoring are visible on the bearings. The rings show signs of previous work and are in slightly better condition. But I think we still need to replace the cylinders as well, and also replace the pistons. So, well, both compressors are disassembled now. Basically, there's not much left to take, maybe just the housings and the heads. In general, I'm going to contact the customer now, or we'll decide about the spare parts. Basically, I already have everything. I already have a new camshaft, I have bushings, bearings, lifters, basically, I already have everything. I'm missing the piston kit. Tomorrow, I'll work on the cylinder heads by lapping the valves, cleaning the seats, and lapping the valves again to prepare the heads while waiting for the piston kit. So the heads are pretty much ready. Now in a few words I'll tell you what was done. So I cleaned the carbon off the valves, then used the machine to cut the working angle on the intake valves at 30 degrees and on the exhaust valves at 45 degrees. I made the seats narrower. They were very wide, so I narrowed them down to about 1.5 millimeters. So I finished the seats and valves, lapped them with paste. Now as you can see, each valve has a mark from the seat. Everything is roughly centered as it should be, about 1.5 mm wide. So it all turned out well, just as intended. Excellent. So I'm preparing the springs, washers, valve stem seals, and assembling the cylinder heads. The cylinder heads are ready. I set them aside and cleared the workbench. While working on the cylinder heads, the pistons arrived, so I can begin assembly. I've prepared the camshaft, prepared the lifters here, prepared the camshaft bushings, and the gear is already set with the bolts. So I'm starting the assembly. Before this, I did some prep work, meaning I've already done most of the preparations. I unpacked the pistons, removed them from Geisa, installed everything, and even put away the packaging. I thought the work would go smoothly from here. Before taking it off, I decided to check the weight first. I'll take a look. So, these 4 pistons are about the same weight. The difference is literally, well, about 7 or 8 grams, I think. These 2 pistons are heavier, almost by 90 grams. $90 grams is a lot, so I won't install them. I'll put them back in the sleeves, pack them in boxes, and we'll go from there. Return them, we'll return them, order 2 other pistons, and then we'll see what happens. Honestly, I don't even know what and how it will turn out. So, the most annoying thing is that we ordered them from the same place. There were 10 of them in stock, and we ordered 6. Typically, when ordering from a place with a large quantity, the items come from the same batch and are usually all the same weight. Well, give or take, here we ordered, and we can see 2 of them. You can tell just by the casting, you can tell they're from a different batch. The casting is different. Basically, you can see the aluminum is thicker and so on. The most frustrating thing is that we ordered them at a higher price when we could have bought them individually in smaller quantities. First, it would have been about 20% cheaper. Second, regarding timing, we waited over a week for them. Ordering individually would have taken about 4 days. And we would have saved both money and time. Saved, that's all. My mood dropped. I don't know currently. I plan to get a lot of work done today. I specifically came in on my day off. It's Saturday, I have Sunday ahead of me. I thought I'd be able to get a lot of work done. Now with these pistons, honestly, I don't know. I thought if there's a small weight difference on the machine, you could remove some material from the inside to adjust it. But 90 grams, well, 90 grams is a lot. For comparison, I took a piston, from a Zavod imeni Likhachova compressor. I think it's a Zavod imeni Likhachova compressor, and it weighs 160 grams. So, it turns out that's 2/3. You have to somehow take that much off this piston. Find a place where you can do it. Well, that's impossible. To reduce it by 90 grams, it's just impossible. So, according to the literature, it says that the allowable difference in piston weight is 100 grams, but in practice, I've taken apart engines myself. For example, one piston was 60 grams lighter, and let's say it was installed on the second journal, the piston that was 60 grams lighter. And when I measured the crankshaft, for example, on these 2 main journals, the 2 main journals that are next to this second cylinder, which was lighter, they had wear, let's say, of 500ths, while the others had 1 or 2, but these had 5, these had 5. So, in any case, there's a disbalance, and in any case, there's some kind of load in this area. I could have assembled it that way, and I'm 90% certain the engine would have run without issues. I can't do it that way as it goes against my conscience. Regardless, I'll aim to complete it correctly. I'm packing the 2 piston sleeves back in the box for return. We've ordered 2 replacements. Now we must consider which pistons to get, including their batch, casting type, weight, and other factors. Alright, let me think about what I should do now, but in any case I need to install the crankshaft today, and maybe I'll install these 4 sleeves as well. Well, in general, let's think and see what we'll do. So, and just out of curiosity, I want to weigh the old pistons, the ones that were in this engine. Alright, so we can see that the heaviest piston is 3,667. The lightest piston is 3,630, so the difference is 37 grams, not 90 grams like in our case. Now I'm weighing the 4 pistons we have left on camera, and then we'll look and compare. .45, the heaviest piston. The lightest one, number 38, weighs 7 grams less than the others. So I use the Erling gaskets, yes, as usual. I don't use the gaskets that come in the kit, but I do use the assembly paste from the kit. I installed the crankshaft and tightened it in 4 stages, with the final stage using a torque of 300 Newton meters. Next, I put the mocks across and then turned it 90 degrees so the mocks are along. So as you can see, the crankshaft turns freely, right? You can feel that there's no play, you can feel that the oil is holding it, but at the same time it turns without any effort. So there is also some axial movement. The feeler gauge of 0.15 millimeters goes through pretty easily, actually. The feeler gauge of 0.20 millimeters, well, it fits, but it's really tight. So basically everything is as it should be ideally. That means the crankshaft is installed. So on Saturday we ordered 2 piston kits. Today is Wednesday and I received them today. I've already unpacked them. I've installed the 2 sleeves and measured how far they protrude above the block. of the cylinder's pistons. I've already weighed the pistons, and 2 of them had a weight difference of 90 grams. I want to show this on camera now. The heaviest piston is 53 grams, the lightest is 38 grams. So the pistons are installed and tightened. Let's check once again that all our marks line up. Yes, so here on the main bearings we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's also inspect the connecting rod cap and rod to verify the numbers match also. So I want to show you something. This is very rare in engines. It's very rare to find this in a single engine. We see the number on the connecting rod and cap, and the other connecting rod has the number 999. It's very rare for there to be a difference of just one digit, right? The letters are the same, just the numbers, and it's a 6 and a 9, they're flipped. For example, you could mix up 996 and 999. I checked all the connecting rods, everything is fine. We can see that each connecting rod has some play. So I installed the counterweights and tightened them. Basically, I'm done with the crankshaft. So I'm checking the timing marks again. We can see 2 marks on the camshaft and a dot on the crankshaft. I checked the injector's fit in the piston. Everything looks good with proper clearance and nothing protruding. That's also crucial to check. I'm finished with Elva and now I'll install the rear and front covers. I installed the flywheel housing and tightened it. I washed it, cleaned it, chased all the threads and replaced the oil seal. The housing is done. Installed. Next. I will install the flywheel. The flywheel remains the old one. I removed it and flipped the ring gear. There's already wear on this side. Well, as usual, at 3 places about 120 degrees apart, there's wear on the teeth. I flipped the ring gear, installed a new thrust washer for the oil seal and replaced the flywheel bearing. I installed the flywheel housing, put on the front cover, and now I'll close up the oil pan. The oil pan is ready, washed and degreased, old gasket and sealant removed. I also prepared the plate, 2 gaskets, the pickup tube and the pump. We'll get a new one with maximum performance and a tooth height of 43. I forgot about the relief valve. We'll have a new original one. Mulliken. So the cylinder heads are installed and tightened. Next, I'm working on the fuel pump. So what was done with the pump? As I already mentioned, it was in for repairs, but not really repairs. Basically, we sent it out for inspection. They adjusted the plungers to resolve inconsistencies and set the cover. They set the stationary mark on the test bench. We don't have any adjustments for the pump at this spot. You just tighten the bolts here and that's it. The pump housing cannot be rotated relative to the plate. Instead, the hub is shifted relative to the gear using bolts. This pump comes with a template like this, right? So it was installed like this, and the cover is screwed on. Then we take it out and insert it like this. This is how the mark is fixed. You can see the tab is in the middle. Well, you can either check it visually like this or fix it with this, with the template. Now, the engine is set to 14 degrees. Here's my mark. I'll start. I've set the engine as usual. We turn it clockwise until the intake valve on the first cylinder operates. The intake valve has operated. Set the temperature to 14 degrees and align the mark on the pump with the inspection window. So I've installed the clutch basket. As I said, the basket is old, the flywheel is old, and the disc is old. The only thing I replaced is this feeder. I installed tubes and clamps here, didn't film it, just small stuff. The engine is assembled, but the compressor will be new. I took apart 2 compressors, but there wasn't much usable from them. The decision was made to buy a new compressor from a Turkish company. I've previously installed single-cylinder compressors from this brand, including parts, cylinders, and heads. So basically, we can see everything. The compressor is the one we need, everything is good. We have seals, yes, to make sure the bolts haven't been unscrewed. so we can see that my engine is fully assembled and already ready for shipping. I painted, removed all the tape and installed the compressor, as requested by the customer without painting. Transferred the compressor from the old unit. All the hoses, pipes, everything is here. Here is the coolant supply, air outlet and air supply. I installed the engine on the pallet, as usual, made one platform, then the second platform. Here I put in the braces, 4 braces at the corners on wire. So there won't be a startup due to lack of time, so I'm uncertain. If the client sends footage of the lowering on the machine, then maybe I'll install it. If not, then I won't. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and good luck to all. Goodbye.